Hello there, my name is Jonathan Doherty, and today I'm going to do a short tutorial on the main fundamentals of musical theory. So this is a brief summary of what we'll be talking about today. Structure of a major scale, sharps and flats of the major scales, intervals, minor scales, and chords. Now first we're going to go over the structure of a major scale. So the structure of a major scale is this: tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So for instance, on a piano, the tone or step represents 2 keys away from the starting note, and the semitone or half step represents 1 key away from the starting note. And next we're going to go over the sharps and flats of the major scale. So these are the symbols you would see for the sharps and the flats. So at the top of there we've got double sharp, sharp, then natural, flat, and double flat. First, to find the sharps and flats of a major scale, I would always start out with writing a blank scale like this. And just always remember, blank scales never fails. So first I'm going to show you how to find the sharps and the flats of the major scales. We'll start with the sharps. So to find the sharps, we use the following mnemonic: fat cats get drowsy after eating bananas, with the first letter of each word there representing the note. We then pair this with remembering the following names to find out how many sharps are in that scale. So it's D for Da, which is 2 letters, A for Amy, 3 letters, E for Emma, 4 letters, B for Barry, 5 letters, F sharp for Freddie, 6 letters, and C sharp for Charlie. Charlie is 7 letters then. So to find out how many sharps there are in the B major scale, you would start out by writing your blank B scale here. So B stands for the name Barry, which has 5 letters, and that means that there's 5 sharps in B major. So you take your first 5 letters from the earlier mnemonic, so that's fat cats get drowsy after. Then we add the sharps to those particular letters, and that tells us what sharps are in the B major scale. So now to find the flats of a scale, we use the same system, but just a different mnemonic this time. So for the flats, it's big ears and Dumbo get cold feet. So we pair that mnemonic up with these letters instead of names this time. So first one is B, 2 letters for B flat. Eat, 3 letters for E flat. Army, 4 letters for A flat. Drink, 5 letters for D flat. And guitar, 5 letters for G flat. So we'll take a wee example here for A flat. Start by writing out the A blank scale. So the word army has 4 flats. So we know that there's 4 flats in there, and we take the first 4 letters of that previous mnemonic, which are big ears and Dumbo, add them, and then we have the flats to A flat. Next section here now we have is intervals. So intervals are the distance between 2 notes, and to work out an interval, first we write out a scale of the note we're starting on and number them. So example for an E. We then use this chart, which we see which number it relates to on the scale there. There's major and perfect. So just to be examples, the distance from E to G sharp. See G sharp's 3rd in the scale there. So to find the distance, it's from E to G sharp, it's a major 3rd there. So another example for flat here, B flat, just write out your B flat scale there again. And so E flat, what you're looking for, is in the 4th position, so that's a perfect 4th. Now we're going to go over altered intervals, and particularly what happens first when they get smaller. Now if the difference is smaller than a major, that becomes a minor, and the difference is smaller and a perfect becomes diminished. In this example here, a B to an F sharp would be a perfect 5th, but because we're looking to get to F, it's smaller, so that becomes a diminished 5th. And here, a D to a C sharp would be a major 7th, but because we're looking for a C, it's smaller, so that becomes a minor 7th. So now I'm going to show you what happens when altered intervals get bigger. So they both go into augmented. So a major, when it's bigger, goes to augmented, and a perfect, when it's bigger, becomes augmented too. Now for an example, for instance, G to C sharp. G to C would be a perfect fourth, but it's bigger, C sharp, so that becomes an augmented fourth. And here for G flat to F sharp, the G flat to the F will be a major seventh, but it's bigger, so that becomes an augmented seventh. So the next section now we're going to talk about is the minor scales. So there are three main types of minor scales, which are natural minor, you flatten the third, sixth and seventh. A harmonic minor, you flatten the third and sixth. And the melodic minor, you just flatten the third. For all of them, I've always flatten the third for a minor. So I'm just going to show you an example for each here. First, the natural minor, we flatten the third, sixth and seventh. So the D sharp becomes a D, the G sharp becomes a G, and the A sharp becomes an A. And now for a harmonic minor, we flatten the third and sixth. So a B flat in this case will go to a B double flat, and then the E flat will go to an E double flat. And then finally for an E melodic minor, we just flatten the third, so the G sharp becomes a G. And that brings us on to our last section now, which is chords. So a chord is a group of typically 3 or more notes played together. And the first ones we have here are triad chords. The 4 main types of triad chords are major chord, which is the 1, 3, 5. Minor chord, 1, flatten the third and the fifth. Diminished chord is the 1, flatten the third and flatten the fifth. And then finally the augmented chord, which is 1, 3 and then sharpen the fifth. And this is how you would see these chords displayed in a chord sheet, for instance for an A. So just for some examples of the A here, the A major, A, C sharp, E, the 1, 3 and the 5. The A minor, A, C and E. The 3 is flattened, so that becomes a C. A diminished, the A, C, E flat. The fifth there and the third is flattened. And then for the augmented then, you've got the A, C sharp and E sharp. It's just the 1, 3 and the sharpened fifth. Now here we have for the A flat. A flat major first is 1, 3, 5, the A flat, C and E flat. The A minor, that's 1 with the flattened third and the 5, so that's A flat, C flat and E flat. Then the A flat diminished, that one is the 1, flattened third and flattened fifth, so that's A flat, C flat and E double flat. And then the last one, the augmented chord then is A flat, C and E, because that's 1, 3 and a sharpened fifth. Then we have some secondary triads then, which consist of suspended chords and power chords. So then for example, a sus2 has a 1, 2 and a 5. A sus4 has a 1, 4 and a 5. And then a power chord has a 1, 5 and 8. And none of these use a third either, so suspended or power chords. Then for example, the A sus2, which is the 1, 2, 5 on the scale, that would be A, B and E. Then A sus4, which is the 1, 4 and 5, that's the A, D and E. And then the power chords, which in A5 is the 1, 5 and 8, so A, E and A. The next section now we're going to talk about the chords of the major key. So first the order of chords in the major key, which are major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And this layout or order of chords will help you find diatonic chords within the major key that you're looking for. For example here, F sharp, if we apply that order to this here, so it's major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And that tells you the diatonic chords within the key of F sharp. And this here is a full list of all the diatonic chords within the major keys here. Next up now we have the chords of the minor key here. So this is the order of chords in a minor key. It's similar to the major ones, but it's just from a slightly different perspective. So it's minor, diminished, major, minor, minor, major, and major. So a relative minor is a key that has the same key signature to the relative minor. The sixth in a major scale to find the relative minor, and then the third in a minor scale to find the relative major. So as we can see here now, a few examples. So for E flat, the relative minor of that is C minor, because the sixth in the scale is C. So that's the relative minor. And then if you look and see the third in the scale, that's E flat, so that's its relative major. Same with the F sharp here. The sixth in the position is the D sharp, so it becomes D sharp minor. Same third as the F sharp. And then finally for the A, it's, you can see there sixth in the scale is F sharp, so that's the F sharp minor, is the relative minor to A. And then we can see in the F sharp minor scale that the A is third, so that's its relative major. Then to find the diatonics then for the chords and the key you want, you just apply the order of the minor chords there. So for the top one, E flat there, it's C minor, D diminished, D flat, F minor, G minor, A flat, B flat, and C minor. Now we have sevenths and extensions. So firstly with sevenths here, sevenths are 4-note chords, like a major chord, 1, 3rd, and 5th. You add a 4th 7 to make it a 1, 3, 5, 7. So like a major 7 there is 1, 3, 5, 7. Dominant 7 there is 1, 3, 5, and then you flatten the 7th. Minor 7 is the 1 flattened 3rd, 5, and a flattened 7th. The augmented 7 is the 1, 3 sharpened 5th and a flattened 7. And then minor major 7 is 1, 3 flat 5th and then a natural 7th. Then we've slightly more sophisticated ones like a diminished 7, which is 1 flattened 3rd, flattened 5th, and a double flat 7. Lastly now we have the extensions, which are the 9th, 11th and 13th. They're basically extensions of the triad and 7th chords. So for these you just add on extensions after the chord. For instance, for an add 9 you would add the 2nd note in the scale, and then the 4th for an add 11 and the 6th for an add 13, as you can see here. So for a C minor 9 here, you would play the 1st, flatten the 3rd, play the 5th, flatten the 7th, and then add on the 9 then, or the 2nd note. And that concludes the chord section now, and it concludes the tutorial as well. So thank you very much for listening. Hope it was helpful, and I'll see you later now.